Okay. Welcome in, everybody. Hi. This is Happy Hour. We are presented by Bet365. I'm Brendan Glasheen. Tim Kalinowski is here. Hi, Tim. Good evening.
Glash, over here. What's going on? We got lost in the neon lights there for a minute. It happens.
Yeah, we made our way through. It's Wednesday before Week 7 kicks off tomorrow. Between the Saints and the Jaguars, we've got a lot to get to. But first, I want to tell and let everyone know that Happy Hour is presented by our friends over at Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary people. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there, Tim. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only or 18 plus in Kentucky and present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF. T's and C's and restrictions apply. Sean Koerner is going to join us momentarily, Tim, to break down the key injuries to monitor heading into Week 7. Our director of research, otherwise known as our trivia host. I look forward to his presence. I look forward to everyone's presence, but I really enjoy trying to stump Evan Abrams. The trivia host will join us later on. Also some top shelf trends. And then Raybon and Stuckey. They're going to come by. They'll preview the Sunday six-pack. And we'll find out if the people need to mix in a water and get a clue before they start betting on Week 7. That's what we got coming up. But first,
I'm down.
Tim, what an ugly Monday night game. And that's where you're going to start with who's on notice. Who are we calling out heading into Week 7? Who needs kind of a little, hey, come on over here. I gotta talk to you about something. Like, that's kind of where we're at now. We have enough data to work with. We're a third of the way through the season. Who's on notice for you?
For me, it is the San Diego Chargers. Actually, I didn't mess up at all. The LA Chargers are the San Diego Chargers. It's the exact same team. Now, what's the problem? Is it Herbert? Is it Staley? Kellen Moore? You know what? The problem is the entire operation, because the truth is they don't really do anything well. They can't run the ball. Eckler, 1.9 yards per carry on Monday night. Their defense is a sieve. And all that to say, I've already bet them plus 5.5 against Kansas City this week, because the Chargers always play Kansas City close, and the Chargers do the same exact things over and over again, Clash.
Yeah, mine. Okay, for me, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I'm looking into my crystal ball of who's on notice because I'm reading some reports here that there is some developing news. For me, it's Kyler Murray, who is back at practice today. Oh, you remember that guy, Kyler Murray? Got a big fat contract extension. Arizona expected to be horrible, which they're 1-5, but they've been better, I think, than people expected with Josh Dobbs at quarterback. A lot of bad stuff about Kyler coming out. Now, the ACL, horrible news. Don't want to wish that upon anybody, but, well, Kyler was supposedly more on his Game Boy than in the game plan. Caleb Williams hype going to Arizona. Caleb Williams won't go there. Kyler Murray, potentially. Kyler Murray, there's already trade rumors about Kyler Murray leaving Arizona because he's just, the two sides don't seem to be seeing eye to eye. But the reporting from Arizona Football Daily, Kyler Murray could be good to go in 2 weeks. The long and short of this is just, Kyler, come in, play your tail off, remind everybody that you deserve the deal, and work hard to remind everybody how good you are. Because if you come in and you're still pulling the same crap, I think people are going to they're going to lose it for you. And we know we lose patience on quarterbacks very quickly, especially franchise quarterbacks, guys that get paid maybe a little prematurely to beat that rookie contract. So we'll see on Kyler Murray. So maybe a little unfair, but I want to see how Kyler handles these next couple of weeks as he gets back in the mix for the Cardinals, even though they're pretty irrelevant.
No, Flash, I have no problem getting people in trouble for something they haven't done yet. No problem doing that.
I know. You're the least of my worries. Time to get into the Action Network Luck Rankings. Our analysts grade teams using what's called Luck percentage, which is the difference between expected and actual win percentage. Unlucky teams, oftentimes, when you look at the board, are often undervalued when there's a large luck disparity between them and their opponent. And Nick Giffen is one of the authors of the luck rankings with Sean Koerner, who will join us in a moment. Nick Giffen joins us now. And Nick, I am so happy. We'll get to I'm happy to tell the people that we actually have a luck game, a luck matchup this week in the NFL. But before we get there, why don't you tell us who's really, really unlucky in the National Football League 6 weeks in?
Yeah, normally we do a bottom three. We're going to do a bottom four this week simply because I think this fourth one is interesting as well. So the fourth most unlucky team in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks. You wouldn't think so, but especially at 3-2, but they are the third. They were the third most lucky team, I should say, in week 1. And just this past weekend, they were the second most unlucky team of the week. So 2 really unlucky weeks where they end up in the bottom 3 in luck just in single weeks. They rank 5th in expected win percentage by our expected score metric. That's ahead of teams like Buffalo, Miami, Philadelphia. But of course, part of that is because they've faced one of the easiest schedules in the league so far. So, that expected win percentage has come against a very easy schedule, which is why they're just 10th in DVOA. But I mean, that's still ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, for example. So Seattle, a surprisingly good and unlucky team so far. The third most unlucky team, another 3-2 team, the Cleveland Browns. They were a whisker away from meeting the luck game criteria last week against the San Francisco 49ers, and they did end up not only covering as 9.5-point dogs, but winning 19-17, and it was a bit unlucky to not even be a bigger win. We had the expected score at 22-15 in Cleveland's favor. The second most unlucky team, a team that really needs a bye week, the Carolina Panthers, and they do get that bye week this week. They're the worst team in the NFL by expected win percentage, but with that said, they should still have one win based off of their about 20% expected win percentage. Finally, Chicago Bears, the unluckiest team in the NFL, suffered the worst beat this past week in week 6 by our bad beat rankings. In the second half, they had 6 drives. 5 of them reached Minnesota territory, and they came away with just 7 points.
Not even the Patriots Mac Jones safety, Tim, was the unluckiest thing that happened. If you bet the Patriots +3.
Me, over here, me. That's why
I did as well. It was painful. But, that was unlucky for us. But at least in that game, the expected score was pretty close to the actual score.
Mm-hmm. No, I think these
great.
Are very much. We're just full. There's always full of silver linings when we bring up the Patriots when it pertains to the luck rankings. Who are teams who continue to be lucky, and any significant shakeups or changes at the top of the board as far as teams that are lucky?
Yeah, so the 3 luckiest teams, number 3 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And here's a funny thing. They're third in our luck rankings in terms of third most lucky, but they've actually had back-to-back unlucky weeks. It's just that the first 3 games they played, they were really lucky. So that said, they're still in the top 3 in luck overall based off the totality of their 5 games, but their luck percentage has come down from almost 37.5% to about 18.5%. So definitely getting close to falling out of that top 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But a new team in the top 3, number 2, the Cincinnati Bengals. They were the second luckiest team this past weekend by winning 17-13 versus the Seattle Seahawks, which we just talked about. And here's why Seattle was so unlucky. They had 4 drives in the second half, not only get inside Cincy's red zone, inside the 10, some inside the 5, and they came away with just 3 points, the Seahawks did. And that's why the expected score was 27-17 in favor of the Seahawks rather than a 17-13 loss like the Seahawks suffered. So Cincy, a very lucky team this past week. And finally, number 1 in our luck rankings, they had a bye week, but they stay number 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers. In fact, not only are they the luckiest team this week, but if you go back over the last 6 years, they're the third most lucky team after 6 weeks in the last 6 years. So the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Whoa.
luck boxing it up. Again, they've still only had 2 offensive touchdowns shorter than 41 yards. That's not a sustainable way to score.
Luckiest. Say that one more time. The last 6 years, they're a top 6 lucky team. Say it again.
Top 3 lucky team.
Top 3. Okay. Wow.
Well, I'm thinking about that year that they started, what was it, 11-0, and they were like the fakest 11-0 team ever. So I feel like that must have a lot to do with it as well.
Most definitely.
I would wonder.
So, go ahead.
I'm wondering. I'm just thinking out loud, wondering what their luck. How unlucky. How would we feel about Pittsburgh, and would we feel bad for them if they were unlucky if TJ Watt was out? Because there are situations when Watt plays, when he doesn't play, how much worse they are when he's out of the lineup. So anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. I always like when Nick Giffen provides the data, and I try to wrap my head around it. So as I teased, Tim, we've got a luck matchup this week. We do have a luck matchup, and I want to know if Nick Giffen, how he feels about it, and if he wants to bet it. So, Nick, what is it for us? Give it to us.
Yeah, so finally a luck matchup. We didn't have one last week. We had one the week before, but it was just one. So back to one this week, and that is the Cleveland Browns at -2.5. It's been bouncing around a little bit, -2, -2.5, -3, bouncing around. But versus the Indianapolis Colts, this game has a luck difference of 24. A luck gap of 33.1%. So that difference of 24 is what meets our threshold. Anything 24 or greater is a large enough luck discrepancy between 2 teams to count as a luck game. Unlucky teams meeting at least one of those thresholds: 103, 59, and 6 against the spread since the start of 2018. So, that's like 44 games above 500 there. That's pretty solid. Road teams of those that meet the criteria are 54, 22, and 3 against the spread. If we just look at week 7 or later, all teams are 40, 22, and 3 against the spread. And road teams week 7 or later that are meeting these criteria, 19, 7, and 1 against the spread. So a lot of heavy hitting stats, splits, just based off luck in Cleveland's favor here. But of course, tough to kind of know if we're going to bet this with the whole question mark around Deshaun Watson. Will he play?
Yep.
I think if he does play, and this is kind of almost a Sean Koerner segment here. If he does play, you could see this line creep up past -3, maybe -4, 4.5. And if he's ruled out, maybe this gets closer to a pick'em, something like that. So kind of just waiting here. I don't really want to take a stand betting on whether somebody's going to play or not, because while I am a doctor of mathematics, I'm not a medical doctor, so can't do that. But the Browns also are kind of in a little bit of a high spot here after coming off that 19-17 win over San Francisco with PJ Walker at quarterback. I mentioned that expected score was actually 22-15 in favor of Cleveland. So maybe they were still a little unlucky. So while it's still kind of a sell high, actually maybe it's not a high enough based off of the winning margin there, what it should have been. So tough to say. They're the public team right now, getting over 80% of the tickets and the money. So I'm just going to kind of wait this one out and see where things go as the week develops.
Okay. I will report, I'm stealing Mary Kay Cabot's credit. I am reading from Mary Kay Cabot. She does the reporting for Cleveland.com. Deshaun Watson confirms he has a strained rotator cuff with micro tears. He will miss Wednesday and will play this is confusing. I'm reading this wrong. It sounds like he's going to try and practice later this week, but he could play. They haven't ruled him out yet.
And we'll give
excellent
Brendan
reporting,
some lessons after this too.
The way she words this tweet, I thought I had it all squared away, but it's a very confusing read. But yeah,
I saw that he didn't practice today, and he said he's not going to put the team in jeopardy by trying to play too early. So, I think if I had a lean, I would lean he's not playing this weekend, but it's just a lean.
Will play when she forgot like a subject here. Will play when he won't put the team in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Thank you. There it is.
There we go.
All right, Tim, you got anything else for the doctor here?
No, I was looking for any excuse to fade Cleveland off of that huge win, and this doesn't make me feel too good. But again, we don't really know what's going to happen with the whole Watson situation. Who knows if that's even an upgrade? He kind of said it himself. I mean, obviously he's an upgrade over PJ Walker, but injured and the way his erratic play this season. So the public all over the Browns as well. I don't know, but I wish Nick was also a medical doctor, but I guess we can't, be picky,
It's a really interesting spot. Cleveland right now, we mentioned how Seattle had the 5th highest Pythagorean expected win percentage based off our expected score. Cleveland's 2nd in the NFL, behind only San Francisco, who they just beat. And Cleveland has played the 5th toughest schedule so far, according to some guy named Sean Koerner.
I love some good Pythag. Nick Giffen, we appreciate it. You're the best. I'm looking forward to talking to you throughout the rest of the week. And make sure you follow Nick on the award-winning Action app to see if he does end up playing this game. Appreciate it, Nick.
Absolutely.
Bye, Nick.
Glash, we got to transition over to On the Rocks, a plethora of quarterbacks and important players. Christian McCaffrey, oblique. Trent Williams, ankle. Justin Fields, hand. Jimmy Garoppolo, back. Trevor Lawrence, knee. This is like when you bring your car to the shop and they're like, the headlights don't work, the mufflers, this and that, the drive shaft, whatever. So we're pleased to welcome in our mechanic, Sean Koerner, to he won't be able to diagnose these things, but at least tell us where these all impact the line and the betting market. Sean, great to see you.
Good to see you guys.
I mean,
kick us off.
Tim,
what do we got? Where do you want to start?
Tim, this show is called Happy Hour. We're not in the garage, dude. I mean, we want to be over at the institutions, not the mechanics place. I got the drift. I got it. Koerner, what do you got for us, Koerner? What do we have to know about this Niners team? So, shocker, the Niners are hurt, but took enough time, third of the way through the year. McCaffrey's hurt, and so is Trent Williams. Great.
Yeah, so let's, I guess, kick it off with Christian McCaffrey. His accelerator is busted. I mean, oblique. And, he's the rare running back who may be actually worth like a half or a full point. I mean, he's been playing like a low-key MVP candidate this season. But the 49ers are stacked, and they could just lean on their pass game a bit more with Deebo Samuel, who can also, see designed rush attempts, Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. However, they also might be without Trent Williams, who is one of the best left tackles in the game. And last year, the 49ers actually averaged a full yard fewer per rush when he wasn't on the field. So if both he and McCaffrey are out, that's going to be a pretty big blow to the run game. And both of them being out would be, combined 1.5 points, I would say. However, the Niners, the running scheme is still one of the best in the league. So they should still be fine with Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason, at least in the short term. They probably want McCaffrey, healthy and good to go for the playoffs. So I would not be shocked that they let him rest this week. And on the other side, we have to remember, the Vikings are without, arguably the best offensive player in the league in Justin Jefferson, who's also worth about 1.5 points to 2 points. So it could end up being a wash here. And, the Niners are -7 right now. If McCaffrey and Williams are both out, I could see it going down to -6.5 or even -6.
I don't want any part of Minnesota at all. But I mean, then that would probably make them the right side. So we will monitor those situations.
You know what, though? That makes me that reminds me too, like that. So there's a better chance with those injuries that it gets to 6.5 and not 7.5. Right?
Probably. I mean, they're probably factoring in that McCaffrey and Williams might not play anyway. Like if we do get news that McCaffrey, it did look like he avoided a long-term injury, so there's still a chance he plays this week. If both he and Williams and Deebo Samuel is also banged up are all active, maybe this does get to -7.5.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. What do you got next?
I guess we'll go with Justin Fields.
You pick.
I'll pick. He's played much better this year thanks to the addition of DJ Moore, but he's still a below average quarterback. You know, he ranks 32nd in success rate. He does obviously add, you know, plenty of yards with his legs, and that does help his overall efficiency. But he's still a below average quarterback. However, his backup, who will probably be starting here, Tyson Bagent, is a undrafted rookie out of Shepherd. You know, he was solid in preseason, but he still has to be one of the worst backups in the league. He had 2 turnover-worthy plays last week and just 15 dropbacks, which is by far the highest rate of all quarterbacks this year that have played at least 15 dropbacks. So just given the drop-off from Fields to, you know, a really below-average backup, I would say Fields is worth, you know, 2.5 to 3 points here. But, you know, on the other side, the Raiders will probably be without their starting quarterback as well, with Jimmy G looking very dicey for this week. You know, I'm assuming the Raiders will go with Brian Hoyer here, who's, I guess, the safer play, especially considering, you know, they are favored against the Bears. So I think they'll want to go with more of a game manager and Brian Hoyer. You know, there is a chance they will give rookie Aiden O'Connell a second chance at some point. But, you know, he has such a wide range of outcomes. I would assume they would want to use him in a matchup where maybe they're an underdog. So, you know, going from Jimmy G to Brian Hoyer is worth around 3 points. So I think this is probably a wash when it comes to the quarterbacks both being out. But, you know, when it comes to the total, that is a massive hit to the total. I had this game around 42.5 if it was going to be Fields versus Jimmy G. But now with both out, you know, I have this closer to 37, which is right about where the market is right now.
Really exciting. Really exciting.
Koerner, do you ever Koerner, be completely honest with me. When you're doing this, right, and you find out that it might be Tyson Bagent and Brian Hoyer, do you ever at any point sitting in your little perch say, I can't believe I do this for a living? Like, do you ever say that? Do you ever think that to yourself?
You know, as somebody that just really grinds and loves preseason, I'm very used to matchups of like Brian Hoyer versus Tyson Bagent. So this is par for the course for me.
Wow.
That's such a professional, buttoned up answer. Wow. That's so professional. All right. Well, you hit on Garoppolo. How about Thursday night? Trevor Lawrence. He's it feels, of all the guys, all the quarterbacks hurt, there's some optimism here with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it does look like, you know, he's shaping up to be a true game time decision. So who the hell knows if he's playing tomorrow night. You know, heading into the season, it was looking like Lawrence could emerge as like a tier 2 quarterback that's worth, you know, 5 or more points against the spread, but he's played much closer to an average, slightly above average QB this year, and now he's dealing with, you know, a knee injury. So if he does suit up, he probably won't be 100%. So that might dock, you know, a point and a half on the Jaguars point spread anyway if he does suit up. But right now, I would say the drop off between him and CJ Beathard would be around 4 points. You know, CJ Beathard, he has a 2-10 record as a starter, but I do consider him like an average backup quarterback. A lot of those starts were with the Niners when they didn't have as many playmakers that they do now. And he played okay in those games, and he has a much better supporting cast here at the Jaguars. So I think he could be solid, you know, tomorrow night if he has to start. And, you know, I think if Lawrence plays, this game's going to be closer to a pick'em, where if he's ruled out, you know, it'll be Saints -3, -3.5. So the fact that it's Saints -1.5 is right where I'm at right now, because like I said, right now it does look like Lawrence is a true coin flip to play tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Koerner, in that it's not just about how much is this quarterback worth to the spread. What's the difference between him and his backup? The Chicago Bears, good on them. They have a backup that might be just as terrible as their starter. So, you know.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it'll be very interesting to monitor these situations. I think also, too, Las Vegas would be out of their mind to play Aiden O'Connell instead of Brian Hoyer. Like, that seems like a very like tanky type move. It seems like let's see what we got here. The season's already over. They're 3-3, Koerner.
Oh, okay. First of all, other than, you know, the 2 horrific fumbles, the horrific interception, the 8 sacks he took, he looked great.
That's what Justin Fields fans say.
And by the way, I was confused on the Deshaun Watson situation, and then Glash gave the update, and I'm even more confused now. So
Mary Kay Cabot, lovely woman who does a great job at her job. She said, okay, I mean, now you're making me pull it back up again, and then we'll let you
okay,
go.
let's try
And
this
we'll
again.
let you go.
Okay.
Okay. Mary Kay Cabot. Deshaun Watson confirms he has a strained rotator cuff with micro tears. This is word for word. Will rest wed, which is for Wednesday, and will play when won't put the team in jeopardy. So she forgot a subject there. It should read, will play when he won't put the team in jeopardy.
Okay, got it. So it was just her wording was, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My
Makes
fault
sense.
for not picking up on that and reading it out loud before reading it to myself. Thank you, Koerner, for coming on Happy Hour, and thank you for taking us to the garage too, according to Tim. Thanks for stopping by.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Just guys talking football, cars, We're going to get ready to bring in Evan Abrams for trivia, but first, little look at the market report. We're talking 2 potential backup quarterbacks, the Raiders at the Chicago Bears. The Raiders opened at around -1, -1.5. That was for a little bit, split second or so, if you saw that. And now Vegas is up to a 3-point road favorite with either Aiden O'Connell or Brian Hoyer. Good luck. 80% of the bets coming in on the Raiders. Over-under has sunk as well from 44.5 to now 37.5. So more numbers, questions. I think I have some of the answers. Maybe, I'm hoping. Evan Abrams, happy to have you. Remember that you can guess in the chat the answer to Evan's trivia question for a chance to win some sick merch, which I will be the one processing on the other end. So I actually hope there's no winner, so I don't have to do any work. Yeah, Evan, welcome in.
What's going on, guys? So let's get right to it. Let's hopefully this trivia goes a little bit better than previous weeks. I think it will. In the last 20 years, Jay Cutler is the least profitable quarterback against the spread at home. It's been really bad. But the question is, who is the least profitable quarterback against the spread at home among active quarterbacks? I was told the hint might give it away a little bit, but heck, we love our viewers. Let's do it. He's actually starting at home this Sunday. So you got some time. Take a look at the list. But worst starting quarterback at home against the spread, active. Who is he? Guys, think about it. Do it up. Let me know. What do you think?
I'm thinking hard.
Yeah.
Tim apparently has a good pulse on this. I don't. So I'm going to be thinking.
I'm scared
while you
of
give
Tim,
us your
to be
top
honest.
shelf trends.
All right, let's get into this. Honestly, I don't know how we can't talk about unders. It's the most exciting, boring thing in the entire world, depending on how you're betting on it. But truthfully, it all starts with Thursday night because the Saints are the only team in the NFL where all 6 of their games have gone under the total. They're undefeated to the under. So perfect setup here. Dating back to last season, the Saints have actually gone under in 12 consecutive games, and they are 15-1 to the under in their last 16 overall. But the nugget here, the Saints' 12 straight unders dating back to last year is tied for the longest over or under streak outside of a single season in the wild card era. They are tied with the 2010-11 Cowboys, who went over in 12 straight, and the 96-97 Jets, also going over in 12 straight. So we could be seeing a little history on Sunday Night Football this week. Thursday Night Football.
Okay. I'd like to know. So they've played Baker Mayfield and Ryan Tannehill at home this year. Last year, Tampa, Minnesota, Seattle. Okay, now the Bengals game they played at home, that went over, I'm imagining. 56 was the total there.
Sure.
Vegas, Baltimore, Rams banged up at that point in November.
You had a good Mac Jones game in there. He gave you a goose egg.
Okay.
We're a long way removed from Drew Brees primetime putting up like 28 points in the first quarter. When I close my eyes and think of Monday Night Football, that is what I see. So
the crazy thing about the Saints too is they're great road teams. Great road teams. They're like one of the best road teams against the spread over the last 2 seasons too. So it's been defense and a little bit of Kamara recently.
defense travels, and apparently unders are contagious as well, Evan.
Yeah, let's keep rolling with this. So unders 12-2-1 last week. That is the best under rate for a single week since 1996. Now, unders for the season, 56-36-1 entering week 7. They're hitting at a 61% rate. That is the highest under rate through 6 weeks since 1991. We literally haven't seen these awful offensive numbers leading to less touchdowns, more field goals in such a long time. So let's actually look into that. So if the season ended today, which FYI it doesn't, but 5.2 yards per play would be the lowest since 2007. 2.3 touchdowns per game per team, slowest since 2006. And yards per attempt at 7.0. We haven't ended a year below 7.0 since 2008. So we just haven't seen these type of numbers. And that kind of leads to the totals this week, right? If you look at the board, only 2 games above 45. You have like 5 games below 40. So odds makers beginning to adjust here a little bit, guys.
Can I ask a question to both of you?
Please.
Because this is the time of year, and again, our show's called Happy Hour. You're catching up with friends in the group chat. You're out and about. Generally speaking, take gambling out of it. Do you guys like the product? I think defense is up in the NFL. Like, are you outside of a star quarterback getting hurt? So Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson. I don't know if he's quite a star, but he was a star at one point. Most of the star quarterbacks have been out there week to week. How do you guys feel about the product? Do you think defense is actually better? It feels like there's some actual hitting going on. It feels like now, after a couple of weeks, Tim, as you know, in these parts, the extension of the preseason is September. So now guys are actually hitting. Guys are in game shape. I kind of like that defense is back in the sport.
I tend to agree. I think there's more close games aside from, what the Dolphins tend to do week to week. And I think it's also fun from an outlier point of view, right? You've got probably one of the best offenses we've seen through 6 or 7 weeks in Miami and the best defense we've seen in Cleveland. So I think you're taking it from both sides, and I think it's more entertaining. I think you're getting closer games, better finishes, and yeah, the play is a little sloppier, and I think it's probably, if you heard Aaron Rodgers say it this week, he thinks it's more the offense than it is the defense, but I just think it's overall play. Like, I think it's just sloppy out there, and I think it's also red zone, right? You're getting a lot of field goals. It's like I think if I remember correctly, it's the most field goal attempts since the 70s, and we've never seen this many field goals made per game per team in history. So right now, I think it's a lot of stalling.
Frankly, I think it's terrible. I think the product is borderline unwatchable, and I don't need points.
You're a college football guy. You watch kickers miss 34 yarders. Yeah. Listen. Oregon, Washington, seriously, like not for me, because it really is just like, you don't know, no point of watching it. It all has to do with who has the ball last. But it's like with this, you just picked out the golden egg out of the basket of a basket of green eggs. It's like, yeah, for every Oregon, Washington, you've got to watch Nebraska as a favorite.
The problem is, I agree with Aaron Rodgers. It's more to do with offense. The penalties have been brutal. And I think what has kind of augmented this whole thing, a lot of these unders have come on prime time, which is everybody's lens into the rest of the league, and we've had terrible prime time. So part of that's the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, but I think it's unenjoyable to watching penalties and offenses go backwards, and a ton of offensive lines that cannot block. That, to me, like, you can shove it. That's
good too.
But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Let me continue. Let me continue. All right. So let's move to actually Monday Night Football, because this is just, you're going to wake up Monday morning and this graphic is going to be on every timeline. Everyone will talk about it because it's just what we do. So Kirk Cousins back under the spotlight in primetime, and in his career, he's started 40 games in primetime. Now, what is primetime? I call it high-profile games, night games, playoff games, overseas games, Saturday games. It's when he's alone on the slate. He's 16, 23-1 straight up, 15-25 against the spread. But as most people would have me remember, he is 4-3 straight up in this spot since last season. The biggest issue, he's been 1-6 against the spread. So back to kind of Kirk's ways. And here for the stat, He's playing on Monday Night Football. He is 2-10 straight up, 2-10 against the spread. That 2-10 mark, worst of any quarterback on Monday Night Football. And even this has been brought up to me before. Well, why don't you check out the points per game, see what his defense is doing, see what his offense is doing. Well, I did. 12 games, Kirk's averaging 16.5 points per game on Monday Night Football. His defense allowing 25 points per game. So he could use a little help.
Evan does his homework.
Do we think this is this going to get, because of that public knowledge, do we suspect that this number gets to 7.5 by Monday because of all the public money coming in San Francisco?
Yeah, I'll say that right now. You nailed it, Glasheen. 86% of the tickets, 93% of the money now given. It's Wednesday, early week. But no Jefferson. You're just coming off a win against Chicago. A good down spot for Cousins. I think you're going to see more in the market. So I do think 7.5 probably more likely than 6.5, and a total of 44. So even for this week, it's a little higher than we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, you factor in McCaffrey is banged up, and Debo's day to day, and Trent Williams is. It sounds like these guys are going to play, but they're not fully there. Surprise! The Niners are banged up 7 weeks in.
Correct.
But,
all right.
But also,
last nugget
all the public does is win. All the public does is win, Evan. So I mean, maybe it doesn't even matter. And good luck to anyone. God bless you if you're still alive in Survivor this week, because there's some tight spreads. It's tough to choose from, Evan.
Yeah, let's actually take that and go a little further, because this is one of the toughest Survivor weeks you've actually ever seen. I looked over the slate yesterday, helping a few friends out. It's near impossible. So here's actually a great nugget from a friend of mine, Sports Odds History on Twitter. Great note here. So really tight spreads in week 7. Currently, 9 of the 13 games, 69%, in week 7 have a spread of 3 points or less. So since the merger in 1970, there have only been 5 other weeks more than 2/3 of the games have a spread of 3 or less. So we've virtually never seen it with this small of a slate. And since there's 9, 10's actually the record. So, and we last saw that in 2016. So what you're seeing right now with only about 2 spreads, it looks like, or 3 spreads, 7 or more, really tight week.
Okay.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Okay. Now to the fun. Trivia, hit me. What do you guys got?
I've been taking notes. So Tim, go ahead.
You want me to read the question one more time? All right.
Please.
Yeah.
Last 20 years, Jay Cutler is the least profitable quarterback against the spread at home. The question is, who is the least profitable home quarterback among active quarterbacks? The hint I gave you, he's starting at home on Sunday.
Okay, great.
What do you guys got?
I've got a list. Quickly, I've ruled out Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor because we don't know who's starting. Because you said he's starting. Fields is technically doubtful, so I ruled them out too. So I've got 9 names: Minshew, Mayfield, Mac Jones, Lamar, Stafford, Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts. How do I come up with one name?
It's good work out of you, Glasheen.
Thank you.
Frances over here.
I'm taking advantage of the hint. I crapped on the hint. Now I'm using the hint. All right, I got to pick one.
Yep. This is great TV. Okay, what do you got, Timmy?
I was between 2. Baker Mayfield is one of them.
Yeah.
The other is also the worst road quarterback, McCorkle Jones.
Wow, you guys didn't get it. I thought you'd nail it. It's Stafford.
Ah!
Oh,
Stafford's been the worst. Yeah, he was 2. He's actually 2-1 against the spread at home this year. So turning the corner a little bit, but he actually hasn't finished above 500 home ATS since 2016. So at home, favored, Steelers off a bye. Let's see if he makes it 3-1.
Never in a million years. Oh.
Yeah, he's bad. And Baker's close. Baker's really close. I believe Baker's like 12-23-1. It's pretty bad.
Wow. Well,
thanks, fellas.
Thank you, Evan.
Fun.
Thank you, Evan.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a very fun, cordial trivia discussion. I didn't yell at the host.
That was good.
I came up. I used the hint to my advantage, and he stumped us fair and square.
It still worked. Yeah, it worked. 1 point.
Evan Abrams, our director of research at Action Network. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you come back next week.
See you later, fellas.
Happy Hour is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary people. That's why you get more boosts with them than anyone else. Every day, they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, or 18 plus in Kentucky and present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF. T's and C's and restrictions apply.
Immediately following us on Action Network's YouTube channel at 6 o'clock, it's the Sunday six-pack. Stuckey and Raybon talking NFL Week 7 best bets. You don't want to miss it. But first, we got to bring these guys in for, I guess, a little sneak preview, a little teaser, mixing of waters. Now, there's a lot of candidates this week for people who might need to mix in a water. I know it's usually me, but I guess we'll ask this first question. The Raiders, they're 3-point favorites at Chicago. And this tweet here says, Brian Hoyer to keep me alive in Survivor Pool. First off, congratulations for still being alive in Survivor. I'm not even sure this is going to be Brian Hoyer. There's been some reports that it could be Aiden O'Connell. Raybon, does this person need to mix in a water? Is this the look for Survivor for a person still alive?
This is definitely a mix in the water. First of all, you don't even know who your quarterback is that you're betting on. You're laying points on the road. So you're just hyper focused on one side of the matchup with Tyson Bagent, and you're not focused at all on who's going to be starting on the road as a backup, laying 3 points. And mind you, Bagent was great in the preseason. So even if it's Aiden O'Connell, it's kind of cancels out. Both of those guys are really good in preseason. So I wouldn't be this confident. I think this is a coin flip toss-up game. We don't know what's going to happen. It could come down to turnovers. It could come there's not much film on Bagent in regular season. There's only one game of O'Connell. Hoyer's old. This is definitely a mix in the water because you don't even know who your starting quarterback is, bro.
To be fair, that one drive, Brian Hoyer looked like Peyton Manning against the Patriots. I know it's the Patriots, but
it was one good play call. One good play call.
Okay, fair enough.
So, hey, that's a lot. That's a lot, by the way, Raybon, that Josh McDaniels had a good play call. That's important to note. Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead, Stuck. I'll pass it one more time over.
Okay. Yeah, you got to mix in the water here. I mean, look, maybe if you're in like an enormous contest, right, and you're hoping for chaos, you're still alive. When else are you going to use the Raiders? I mean, they host the Giants in a couple weeks. That's probably the only other time that you would use them. And there's some of these contests out there where it's 20 weeks, right? You have to pick a game on Thanksgiving, a game on Christmas. So in that case, I maybe could say it, but nah, you got to mix in the water. You're using the Raiders on the road, and plus the Bears are upgrading at quarterback with Fields out. So yeah, mix in the water.
not stuck that in there.
Good job there.
All right, let's go to this next one from QB Ranker. He supposes, Raybon, Vikings on the money line. They're sitting around plus 250. They are at home. It's Kirk Cousins, prime time against the Niners. And there are some questions with the Niners as it pertains to their skill guys. McCaffrey, nothing to be considered long-term with the oblique. He could be available. That's per Adam Schefter. Trent Williams, he's day-to-day. Debo's day-to-day. The Niners, yeah, they lost. Moody should have hit the field goal. Feels like they should have won the game anyway, but it's a bounce-back situation for San Francisco. Vikings at home. Does Brant need to mix in a water on taking the Vikings? No points, the money line.
Listen, I'm never going to knock somebody for taking a one-possession dog in a spot where nobody believes in them, but I feel like you missed your spot. I feel like last week when the Niners were what was it, 9.5-point favorites against PJ Walker on the road. That was the time to fade them with the money line. Now, they already dropped one, heartbreaking fashion. They're going to be on high alert, bounce back spot for them. And this Minnesota team, I just don't know how much it can score without Justin Jefferson. I mean, you put up 19 on the Bears, and didn't you get a defensive score in that one? So I mean, that's
fumble 6,
pitiful.
yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say it's close. Like at least a half a glass of water, because I feel like you're a week late.
Stuck, Kirk Cousins 2-10 straight up and against the spread on Monday night. 4-3 straight up in prime time since the start of last season. We know how lucky the Vikings were last year, but does Brant need to mix in a water taking the Vikings on the money line?
No, I think he's fine here. I think that the line is a little inflated. I think there's a lot of people betting just on the 49ers to bounce back, but there's some uncertainty with the injuries on San Francisco. I mean, look, it'd be nice if Jefferson was playing. That would really provide a boost here. But with the injury uncertainty, home dog, I think that it could potentially work in Minnesota's favor. So we'll see how Purdy responds in his second straight road game to a bad game that I think just had to do with going up against one of the league's best defenses in bad weather. So I expect him to bounce back here against the Minnesota defense. Like, look, if this San Francisco offense is at full strength, how are you really going to get stops? At least they're doing a good job of not allowing explosive plays. But I think this line's a little bit inflated, and you have the uncertainty with the injuries on the San Francisco side. So when you have uncertainty, that's, when you want to potentially look at a moneyline underdog. So yeah, you're okay here. No need to mix in a water.
Yeah, the two of you appreciate the courage of taking a money line dog that's already getting a touchdown. Speaking of dogs, the Chargers, this person, random to, not going to read it. You can actually attach me to this as well. Chargers win outright in Kansas City. I've already bet the Chargers +6. I think I'm also going to taste the money line. So you can use me here as the de facto person. Raybon, do me and random 2-0 bunch of numbers need to mix in a water.
Nah, not on this one. I mean, division game, the line is within a touchdown. These teams always play close. I think every game has been a one-possession game in the Justin Herbert era, except one time when it was week 18 or 17, whatever the last week of the season was, and everybody's resting for the Chiefs. So, these games are always close. The Chargers, the thing about the Chargers is it's just prepare for pain if you're taking a money line, because they tend to always lose close, but lose. So it's like they're like Chiefs money line, Chargers spread is probably the optimal bet here, because the Chiefs will book it. They'll win by 3 points, or 2 or 3 points on a last second Harrison Butker field goal or something like that. But no need to mix in the water. This is the Chargers are a live dog here.
Yeah, let me lay it out. Herbert 2-4 in his career against Kansas City, but the 4 losses by 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, and 6 points. This Kansas City team hasn't been overly explosive, at least as explosive as we were used to seeing them, and know that they are capable of being. Couple that in with the Chargers lose in front of all of America on Monday Night Football. Stuckey, I also know that you've told me a million times, Mahomes, they're smart. He knows to kneel it out. They don't necessarily care about running it up. Does that all have something to do with this as well?
Yeah, except he couldn't do that against Denver, and then ironically, and then they ended up getting a field goal late. Usually he would get a first down there. But yes, this person needs to mix in a water. Why? Because take the points. This is the one time where the points are important, because we've seen this movie every single week for, forever. The Chargers, all they do is play one possession games. They usually come up short. I think 20 of their past 25 games, which is insane, have been decided by one possession. And you mentioned it in this particular series. Herbert is 5-1 against the spread, should be 6-0. That 6-point loss that you mentioned came in overtime. So at the end of regulation, the Chargers have either been winning, tied, or have trailed by 3 or less in all 6 meetings between Herbert and Mahomes. So the points are important because, and then look, the Chiefs can't really cover as big favorites. So what's going to happen here? Chargers going to have the ball with it's like Rivers never left. Chargers go to the ball with 2 minutes left, down 3. Or the other option is they're down 10 at the end, and then they will get in the back door. Yeah, you got to take the points here. Points are important. If you want to sprinkle a little on the money line, you can, but take the points. And for what it's worth, look, situationally on the surface, Chargers short rest, Chiefs long break. They played on Thursday night. Chiefs at home. One narrative that gets way over pushed now is Andy Reid with extra rest. 9+ days to prepare in between games, 10 and 13 against the spread at Kansas City. But you need the points here. The points are important because the Chargers, there's only one thing we can really trust the NFL. They're going to charge her.
They in their 2 meetings last year, Kansas City won both by 3, but in both of those games, week 2 and then later in the year in November, the Chargers had at least a touchdown lead in both of those games and still found a way, to Stuckey's point, to charge her. Looking at the action app,
that Gerald Everett quit on the route like that. I still remember that. Like Gerald Everett still needs to mix in the water for that game last year where he quit on the route and Herbert throws a pick 6, and that's why it ended up being a 3-point loss. And the Chargers are about to go in for a touchdown. So Gerald
and
Everett
they also dropped
like
5 picks in that game.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys aren't sickos or anything for remembering every single play ever. But yeah, no. Moving on, Glash.
Oh, come on, Tim. You're just like this with hockey. Give me a break. You remember crap like that, too. Okay? Biggest public betting site, according to the Action app. Tickets and money coming in on the Cleveland Browns. They upset the Niners with P.J. Walker at quarterback. They are getting 80% of the bets, 84% of the cash. Cleveland -3 against Indy. See some 2.5s out there now as well. Indy's a home dog. Raybon, does the public back in Cleveland need to mix in a water?
I'm going to say yes, only because I love Cleveland's defense, but only because this is another situation where you're laying points on the road, you're a week late, and you have no idea what's going on at the quarterback situation. So it's I don't mind it if we get some more clarity and, okay, you handicap the game. Okay, Cleveland's aside, but I just feel like the entire public on the Browns laying points on the road against a feisty Colts team who probably has their better quarterback playing. It's just I'm going to say yes. Mix in the water. Too much love for the Browns. And again, it's a week late. Like the Browns just got the upset over the Niners. Yes, the Browns are nasty, but 85-90% of the public, that's too much.
Glash, it's a good thing we paid. We got Tony Romo for cheap on this show. Chris Raybon, every single time we ask him, I don't know, it might be a half a watt, it might be a little bit. So, yeah, thanks, Raybon. Tony Romo Jr. over here. Say it with your chest.
I just said that. I said it's you a week late. What are you talking about?
Well, and
okay.
You don't know what you're talking about. So you're Tony Romo. You need to mix in a water, Timothy.
And Tony Romo has the luxury of being in production meetings and getting news on what's going to happen at quarterback. And by Sunday, now to Raybon's credit, Romo still sounds lost even when he has all the information in front of him and we know who's playing at quarterback. But anyway, that's neither here or there.
Tony Romo does not. I'm pretty sure Tony Romo does not go to production meetings.
Tony Romo could mix in water at production meetings and at the games.
Neither do
you. Watson said today that he isn't sure if he'll practice or play Stuck against the Colts, knowing that murkiness at the quarterback position. Public's on Cleveland regardless, so they need to mix in a water.
Yeah, you got to mix in a water here. You're chasing. You're probably buying high a little bit, especially with Watson out. And it's really hard to trust this Browns offense on the road to win as favorites. I've been saying all year that the defense is the best in the league. And they are. I mean, teams are converting just 23% of third downs against them. The next best is 31%. But, in the NFL market, although the public's crushing it this year, they're hitting like 70%. So maybe they don't need to mix in the water. But look, in the NFL market, you really want to, it's kind of like the stock market. You want to kind of buy low and sell high. There's going to be ebbs and flows. And look, the Colts got blown out last week, even though they outgained the Jags by like 150 yards. And the Browns beat the 49ers in the ultimate hype spot at home in weather where they could rely on their defense. I don't think it's going to be as easy this week. There's also like a letdown component. Like they just pulled off that upset. Now you're going on the road to Indianapolis. So, yeah, you got PJ Walker, trusting him on the road, laying points. They got to mix in a water. Like Raybon said, week late.
Okay, let's move on to Thursday Night Football and see if Stuckey and Raybon have angles for Jaguars and Saints. Your market report. There has been some line movement with encouraging news for Trevor Lawrence that he could play in this game on Thursday. Line got to 3. It's back to 1.5. Jaguars road dogs in New Orleans. Saints on the money line right around -120. Total sits at 39.5. Well, the money and the bets, Raybon, are coming in on the Saints. Any play in this one with the total coming down and the spread coming down to 1.5?
I want no part. This is another one of these ugly games. Trevor Lawrence is banged up. The Saints. We know the one thing the Saints are going to do is play good defense. So if I had to make a play in this game, it would definitely be the under. I think, the offensive coordinator, Press Taylor for Jacksonville, has been talking up Travis Etienne being able to carry a heavy workload. Lawrence is banged up. So I think the writing's on the wall for the Jaguars to be run heavy. And you know what the Saints are going to do on offense? They're going to score between 10 and 18 points, 10 and 19 points. Like if they get to 20, it's like a celebration. So, the Jaguars are going to run. The Saints probably aren't going to score. The Saints do play pretty solid defense week in, week out. So, gotta lean to the under on this one.
Tim, it's the theme of the segment. Quarterback mystery. Lawrence, of all the guys we talked about, Walker and Watson, as well as Hoyer and O'Connell, Trevor Lawrence sounds like the most optimistic guy that we'll see Thursday night. Stuckey, what do you think? Any play on this game? I know you hate Thursday night football, but
yeah, absolutely not. I mean, look, there's no reason to bet this game. We'll have our prop guys. We'll have their good prop bets. You can follow those. But who does anyone? Unless you have inside info and you know how healthy Lawrence is going to be, yeah, the under probably isn't a bad look, but it's moved a bunch. The Saints have gone under in 12 straight games in 15 of 16. They're the only team to go under in every game this year. They've been an under machine. Can they really take advantage of the Jags secondary? Not with the way that offense is operating right now in the passing game. But, if Lawrence can't go or he's just ineffective, that the drop-off to the backup is big. And talking about C.J. Beathard. And, if Lawrence is out there hobbled and not effective, that's not good either. Look, we got 2 good primetime games in a row, which is a mini miracle with the Giants, Bills, and Saints, Cowboys, Chargers. We're right back to trash. Like, this game is almost unwatchable. I want no part of it.
Tim, do you have the discipline to not bet this game Thursday night?
I grabbed the under at 42.5. That's long gone. I will be salivating if this gets to +2 and a great teaser chance because of this predicted to be a low scoring game, but I'm not sure we're going to get it. Yeah, it's a pass. It's a go take your girlfriend, boyfriend out to dinner Thursday night football game.
Okay. I tend to agree. So I'm not going to come on here and give a side or either. So awesome. No one watched Thursday.
Cutting edge analysis.
James Madison,
Real actionable
Marshall's a better game. There will be MLB on. There's no reason to pull up your Prime stream for this.
Stuckey's right. Listen, we'll have Koerner on, I'm sure, Thursday. He'll give out his pick. Who knows? Yep. Nick Giffen might have a side based on whatever he cooks up, and then Jill might have a touchdown look at someone at Tank Bigsby at like plus 300. I don't know. Do that crap, but don't pick a side or a total. And that's not. I'm not knocking those guys. I'd rather do that than a side or a total. So
exactly, pizza money on that. It's a sometimes the sharpest thing you can do is just say pass. I'm going to save my bankroll for a different day. It's a pleasure having you two on. Looking forward to the Sunday 6-pack as we get ready for NFL Week 7. Thank you, fellas. Well, Glash, I just kicked those two guys out, so I guess it's time to kick ourselves out, throw ourselves out of the club, as Gronk would say. That was a good one. I thought we nailed it. I thought we had I had a ton of fun. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think we're at the point we shouldn't be surprised, right? We're about a third of the way through the season now, and shocker, quarterbacks are hurt. You should be betting unders, and so much information to consume from that show that it keeps me guessing, and I want to keep riding these trends with unders, but then I get concerned because, well, if the under's hitting so well, for example, the Saints, well, the bookmakers, our friends at Bet365, they know something. And why is the total so low if they're so good at cover or so low at they're so good at being on the spot with low totals when they're at home since whenever it was last year, 12 straight. Yeah, I'm probably going to take your advice and take the lady friend out on Thursday, and I'll probably get suckered into doing something in that game, but we'll find out. I've got time to think about it.
Good job, Glash. You're a good man, and I hope you
Thank
learned
you.
something.
We'll see if I
today.
actually do it.
Yeah. If not, hope you had a lot of fun. Be sure to download the free Action Network app. Subscribe to Action Network's YouTube channel. Happy Hour is presented by Bet365. For Brendan Glasheen, I'm Tim Kalinowski. Good luck betting football this weekend.